She was my wife, but I lost her memory, and had to make her fall in love again. The first thing I remember is a feeling of floating, a dizzying, disorienting fog that slowly, reluctantly began to lift. Then came the pain. It was a dull, throbbing ache that felt like 100 tiny hammers were beating a slow, relentless rhythm inside my skull. When my eyes finally opened, the world wasn't what I remembered. It was a sterile, white room filled with unfamiliar machines, and standing over me was a woman. She was beautiful, with kind eyes that were red-rimmed and swollen. Her face was etched with a profound, heartbreaking worry that seemed to pull at something inside me, a ghost of an emotion I couldn't name. Her hand was in mine, and her grip was so tight it was almost painful. "Who are you?" I asked, my voice a raspy, foreign sound. The words, so simple and so honest, seemed to shatter her. A gasp escaped her lips, and a single, perfect tear tracked a path down her cheek. "It's me, honey," she whispered, her voice cracking. "It's Sarah." But I didn't know a Sarah. Her name felt like an empty echo in a vast, desolate canyon that was my mind. The doctors came, their voices a low, comforting hum as they explained the diagnosis: retrograde amnesia. A car accident had stolen the last 5 years of my life. A car crash, a tragic, random event that had wiped away half a decade of my existence. 5 years that apparently included my marriage to this woman, Sarah, the love of my life. I was Ethan, 35 years old, and the man she spoke of was a ghost. I looked at the wedding photos she showed me on her phone, at the man smiling beside her, his hand wrapped around hers, a look of pure adoration in his eyes. I saw a man I didn't recognize, and a love story I couldn't remember. My world, once so clear and simple, was a shattered mess of fragments. I remembered my childhood, my family, my friends. I remembered my work as a freelance graphic designer, my love for old books and classic movies. But the last 5 years were a blank space, a lost continent in my mind that no map could navigate. My parents, Carol and David, came to the hospital, their faces a mix of worry and forced smiles. They spoke of Sarah with a love and fondness that was almost painful. They were grateful she was staying by my side. They shared their own memories of her, of how she had brought a light into my life that they hadn't seen before. They told me about our first date, a comical disaster at an Italian restaurant where I had spilled red wine on her dress. They told me about our home, a beautiful, sprawling house in the suburbs that she had found and decorated with her own impeccable taste. I wanted to believe them. I wanted to feel that connection. But it was like listening to a tale about a hero in a book I had never read. I was a spectator in my own life story. Coming home from the hospital was surreal. The house was beautiful, with a sprawling living room and a kitchen that smelled faintly of spices and clean wood. But every piece of furniture, every photo on the wall, was a ghost of a memory that wasn't mine. There was a framed picture on the mantel of us on a beach, my arm around her, our faces sun-kissed and happy. I looked at the man in the picture and felt no connection. It was a stranger's face. Sarah was a constant, gentle presence. She moved through the house with a quiet grace, her actions filled with an unwavering patience that I couldn't comprehend. She never forced anything, she just was there, a polite and considerate roommate in a home that was supposed to be a sanctuary of shared love. She'd make my favorite coffee, or what she told me was my favorite, play my favorite music, classic rock from the 70s, apparently, and tell me stories of our life. Her voice was gentle, her eyes filled with a hopeful sadness that broke my heart. Our friends, our closest circle, were a part of her gentle campaign to bring me back. Mark, my best friend since college, would come over and talk for hours. "Dude, you used to be obsessed with her," he'd say with a laugh, his eyes twinkling. He'd tell me about our camping trips, our late-night talks, our silly inside jokes. "You wouldn't shut up about her for the first 2 months we were dating," he'd say. "She was the one, man. You knew it from day one." Each story was a small, fragile thread of a life I had lived, a life I couldn't remember. It was a constant reminder of what I had lost. I felt a profound sense of guilt. I was a stranger to her, a man who couldn't even offer the simple comfort of a shared memory. She had lost her husband in that accident, the man with 5 years of shared memories, and she was forced to live with the man who remained, a blank slate, a man who couldn't even give her a hug without it feeling awkward and unnatural. The emotional distance was a physical thing, a cold barrier between us that I didn't know how to cross. Slowly, almost imperceptibly, our relationship began to change. We started doing things that were ours, new things that weren't tainted by a ghost of a past I couldn't access. We started taking walks in a new park, exploring a new neighborhood, trying new restaurants. These were our firsts, our own memories that we were creating together. I learned about Sarah, the woman. I learned about her childhood, her dreams, her fears. I learned that she was a kindergarten teacher, and her face would light up when she talked about her students. I learned that she loved to bake, and her hands, which were so gentle and kind, were also covered in flour. I learned that she was an artist, and her art, which was a beautiful, chaotic blur of colors, was a reflection of her soul. She never pressured me. She never said, "Do you remember this?" Instead, she'd say, "This is what we love to do." She was teaching me about the man I was before, and in doing so, she was helping me discover the man I was becoming. One evening, she made pasta carbonara. She said it was the first meal she ever cooked for me, a comical disaster that ended in laughter and a burnt pan. As I ate it, something flickered in my mind. A faint echo of a memory, a feeling of warmth and amusement. It was fleeting, gone as quickly as it came, but it gave me a sliver of hope. A hope that maybe, just maybe, the ghost of a past I couldn't remember was still there, waiting to be found. The turning point was subtle, a quiet shift in the space between us. I had a bad day at work, a new client who was impossible to please, a design that just wasn't working. I came home, exhausted and frustrated, and sat on the couch, my head in my hands. Sarah came over, a cup of tea in her hand, and sat beside me. She didn't say anything, she just placed the tea in my hand and wrapped a blanket around my shoulders. She just sat there, a silent, comforting presence. In that moment, the guilt, the awkwardness, the emotional distance, all of it faded away. I was just a man, tired and frustrated, and she was just a woman, a kind, gentle presence. Without thinking, I rested my head on her shoulder. She didn't move, she just sat there, her presence a silent, comforting hum. In that quiet moment, I felt a profound sense of peace. I didn't remember loving her, but in that moment, I knew I did. It wasn't the ghost of a past love, it was the reality of a new one. It was a love built on shared moments of quiet comfort, of silent understanding, of a kindness that had no memory, no past, no future. It was just a profound, beautiful truth. The next day, I asked her on a date. A real one, I said. Not a memory tour, a new one. She smiled, a genuine, unforced smile that reached her eyes. Okay, she said, I'd like that. Our first new date was a beautiful, simple thing. We went to a small, local cafe with mismatched chairs and a menu written on a chalkboard. We talked for hours, about our dreams, our fears, our passions. I told her about my love for graphic design, about the way a blank page was a promise, a world of possibilities. She told me about her love for teaching, about the way a child's mind was a blank canvas, waiting to be filled with knowledge and wonder. We were two strangers, two people who had a past we couldn't share, but who had a future we could build together. The 5 years before the accident remained a blank space in my mind. But it didn't matter. The love I felt for Sarah was real. It was now. It was a love that was a testament to a woman who had fought to make her husband fall in love with her again. We started a new photo album. An album of our new life, a new life built on a foundation of a profound, unending love. We filled it with pictures of our new dates, our new adventures, our new life. We went on a trip to the mountains, a place neither of us had been before. We took a picture of us, our arms around each other, our faces sun-kissed and happy. In that picture, I saw a man I recognized, a man who was deeply in love, a man who had found his way back home. Our love story wasn't a fairy tale. It was a different kind of love story. A love story of a man who lost his memory, and a woman who had to make him fall in love again. A love story of a man who was a ghost in his own life, and a woman who had to bring him back. And a love story of a woman who had lost her husband, and who had to find a way to get him back. She had made a promise to me, a promise to love me forever. And even though I didn't remember her making that promise, I was living it, every single day. She had lost her husband in that accident, the man with 5 years of shared memories, but she hadn't given up on the man who remained. She had chosen to love me again, and in doing so, she had taught me the true meaning of commitment, of love that endures, even when memory fades. Our love story was a testament to the fact that love isn't just about shared memories, it's about the choice to love, day after day, no matter what life throws your way.